All right, today we're jumping into a story that is frankly almost unbelievable. It's about a lifetime of artistic creation on a scale that's just staggering.
33,642. Let that number just hang in the air for a second. That isn't some random statistic. It's the measure of one person's passion.
Yep, that's the number of musical pieces, we're talking complete songs, all written by just one man. So you gotta ask, who on earth could do something like that? Who was this person?
Well, let's get into it, because the answer is every bit as fascinating as the number itself. We're about to meet a man who was, in a way, living two completely different lives at once.
Here he is. This is Sri K.R. Bhaktavatsalam. This is the face behind that almost impossible number. A man who, for more than 50 years, was quietly building one of the biggest musical legacies you've probably never heard of.
Okay, so Sri K.R. Bhaktavatsalam was born way back on February 8, 1926, in a place called Chenna-Kintapalli. His parents were Kuntimati Rajagopalachar and Renga Nayakama. And he lived a long life, 86 years, passing away in 2012. But still, you have to ask yourself, is even 86 years long enough for over 33,000 pieces of music?
Now, you'd probably assume someone this prolific must have spent, decades in intense formal training, right? But here's the kicker. His only formal training happened when he was just 10 years old, under his guru Sri Paka Hanumanthacharya.
And look at this. Just let this sink in. On one side, you've got his formal training, a grand total of 8 months. 8 months! And on the other side, a composing career that stretched for 53 years. That tiny foundation held up an entire lifetime of creation. It's just incredible.
And this is where it gets wild. For 34 years, his day job was chief engineer in the irrigation department. You know, a serious, technical, demanding career. But at the same time, for 53 years, his real calling, his service, was to music.
And honestly, it didn't even stop there. The man was a true Renaissance figure. Sure, he was a composer, but he was also a well-respected Vedic astrologer, a talented sketch artist, a philosopher, and, of course, a civil engineer. Just incredible.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that musical life. 53 years. What does that kind of sustained, nonstop creation actually look like?
This timeline really tells the story of his dedication. He wrote his very first piece on August 2, 1958, and his very last, January 30th, 2012. That was just 11 days before he passed away. I mean, he was creating literally until the very end. That's commitment.
And he wasn't just prolific, he was versatile. You can see he composed mostly in Telugu and Sanskrit, but also a good amount in Tamil and Kannada. But get this, he also wrote 8 devotional songs, or kirtanams, in English. How cool is that?
Okay, here's another number for you. 77. So what's that? Well, that's the number of new ragas, you know, the melodic frameworks of Indian classical music, that he actually invented himself. He wasn't just using the old rules, he was adding to the book. And his mastery didn't stop at melody. He also composed in all 35 talas. These are the intricate rhythmic cycles that are the very heartbeat of the music. So he had total control over every single aspect of his craft. Melody, rhythm, the whole shebang.
And this just shows you the depth of his genius. He composed in all 72 of the main Malakartha ragas, which is a massive achievement on its own. But on top of that, he composed in hundreds of others, rare ones, complex ones, even popular Hindustani ones. The man knew his craft inside and down.
So, we've seen the what and the how, the insane numbers and the incredible skill. But that's only half the picture, right? The real question is, why? What could possibly drive someone to create so relentlessly?
And the answer, really, comes directly from him. For Sri Bhaktavatsalam, music wasn't the final product, it was a tool. It was a way to express something much, much bigger. It was a vehicle for bhakti.
So what does that mean, bhakti? Well, it's a word for devotion, for a really deep, personal, and powerful love for the divine. And this wasn't just a theme for him. It was everything. It was the absolute core of all 33,642 of his pieces.
The way he saw it, each song was basically a conversation. Think about that. A conversation between the individual soul, the Jiv Atma, and the universal spirit, or God, the Paramatma. Every single composition was another line in that epic dialogue.
And that conversation covered a lot of ground. It was mainly about goddess Lakshmi and Lord Narayana, but also their avatars like Rama and Krishna. And he didn't stop there. He also wrote pieces for other deities, and even in honor of the great teachers and composers who inspired him. Now, you might be wondering, okay, this is an amazing story, but how do we know all this? The exact numbers, the dates? Well, it's because he left behind the most incredible physical proof you could ever imagine.
I mean, just look at this. This is a page from one of his notebooks. Every single song, written out by hand. And he didn't just write the lyrics, he recorded the date, the place, and even the exact time he wrote it. It's a perfect, meticulous record.
So how many of these notebooks are there? 259. Let that sink in. 259 volumes just like this one, packed with his life's work. It's a library of devotion.
And here's the most important part. These aren't just diaries or books of poetry. This is a complete musical archive. Almost every single entry has the full musical notation. The notes, the flourishes, everything you would need to actually perform the music exactly as he heard it in his head.
In the Carnatic tradition, it's basically the composer's signature. It's a name or a special phrase that they weave right into the lyrics of a piece to say, hey, I made this. It's a really beautiful, personal touch.
And Sri Bhaktavatsalam's Ankitam was, well, it was his own name, Bhaktavatsala, or sometimes a shorter version like Bhakta. Every single one of his 33,642 compositions has this personal stamp hidden inside.
But for him, this was not about ego at all. That signature, his name, was actually a deep tribute to his parents. He truly believed that the music itself, that massive creative force, came directly from divine will. His entire life's work was an act of devotion to his family and devotion to his faith.
What he left behind is it's almost too much to comprehend. A legacy of pure creativity and devotion. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It leaves you with this one big question. How many other incredible masterpieces are out there, right now, just sitting quietly in 259 notebooks on a shelf, waiting for the world to find them?